I'm unclear on what actually constitutes abuse, abusive behaviour. It seems to me like people in general are so ready to say they've been abused when what really happens in most cases is that they felt some level, maybe acute, of emotional discomfort because their programming has been challenged. And can there really ever be abuse at the ultimate level? I've been contemplating this question for the past 3 years very seriously and find that in my worst days, I lean towards yes and see many humans supporting that claim, while in my best days, I lean towards no and find myself alone and at rest. On social media, I see unimpressive, conventional mind complexifying this topic, on which perhaps simply would be particularly called for. Well, I hope I made sense and would love to hear your comments. Thank you for reading and for the live streams. Hey, Inez, thanks for the question. There seems to be abuse on the human level. So if I were to go and beat up Khaleesi, that's my dog, we would call that abuse and we would interfere with that. But it doesn't, from my perspective, and you don't have to believe this or take on board, it doesn't, really everything's happening without someone, so it's not me abusing her, it's life abusing her. There's no personal abuse. It doesn't mean that I don't have Khaleesi taken away from me if that were to happen. It's just that there is just what's happening, and what's happening is beyond all stories, like right here, right now, beyond the person, beyond what you think is good and bad and right and wrong. There is simply what's happening, which is really free and expansive and alive. I think humans on the human level do feel a lot of abuse from each other. I think that's something like a big narrative that humans have, and they feel abused by life. But on the ultimate level, there is no abuse. There is no abuser and there is no abuse. There's no guilty person and there's no innocent person. There is just happening, there is just dynamics happening, which are so free. We're in such a weird game, all of us, because we're in this human society where we're all dependent on each other. We can't exist alone as humans. We have to depend on each other and depend on each other for food and shelter, electricity, light. And then at the same time, we all want to be away from each other. We all want to be independent. It's weird, isn't it? And we get into all these complex games with all this suppression to try to fit in, to try to meld to the group, to not be kicked out. And really, if what somebody does in the human world is called abuse, it's just coming from a build-up of past dynamics in the apparent story, but there's not actually someone there that does it. So if someone murders, it's more than likely because of a build-up of suppressed emotions, and then suddenly they crack, and then they murder. Even if it's somebody does premeditated murder, it's a build-up of past dynamics, building up. So really, there is just life speaking to life, and the reason that when you are more on your better days, that's what you see, because that's the true way of it. And all these ideas of abuse begin to disappear. Like there is nobody that's been abused, and it's all happening in itself. It's all one energy. Like the trees don't feel abused by the wind. The ground doesn't feel abused by the water. It's part of our evolution as a society. But it's not truth, it's just a happening. And when you really see it as just a happening, then it's nobody's fault. There is nobody to blame.